And I think most of you that know me here would know that I never meant to hurt the city of Honeymoon.
Former San Diego Mayor Maureen O'Connor making a shocking revelation, a costly addiction to gambling. I'm Eric Anderson. The story tonight on KPBS Evening Edition.
I'm Amitha Sharma. While San Diego prepares for a new battle over pension reform, a new report reveals rising pension costs for local cities. And San Diego is home to a large Iraqi community. Some of them helped U.S. troops in their homeland working as translators. Because of that, they've become the most haunted class in Iraq. We'll talk with one of those translators.
And on this Valentine's Day, our Ken Kramer says he's found the secret to eternal love, and it's in Balboa Park. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Erwin Jacobs and by
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Dwayne Brown is off tonight. A stunning revelation today from former San Diego Mayor Maureen O'Connor. She says she has a gambling addiction that led her to lose millions of her own money. She was in federal court today to answer embezzlement charges. KPBS reporter Tom Fudge has that story.
Maureen O'Connor appeared in court with a flushed face, and she was walking with a cane. She was there to answer charges that she embezzled more than $2 million from a foundation that was started by her late husband. Her late husband was also the founder of the Jack in the Box restaurant chain. After she appeared in court, Maureen O'Connor spoke about the money that she took from the foundation.
I always intended to pay it back, and I still intend to pay it back.
Although Maureen O'Connor pleaded not guilty in court, she has owned up to the things that she's accused of. The government has chosen to defer her prosecution, and that means that if in 2 years she has paid back the money that she took, the charges can be dropped by the government. U.S. Attorney Philip Halpern said her case is a lesson for all.
A gambling addiction can, in fact, risk everything you have. Your property, your life, and your reputation.
O'Connor took the money to support her gambling addiction. She was addicted to video gaming. Her attorney says that her net losses totaled about $15 million. During this time, she was also suffering from a serious brain tumor.
O'Connor was a physical education teacher before turning to politics and becoming a popular mayor here in San Diego. KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr has more on her time in office.
O'Connor was San Diego's first female mayor, serving from 1986 to 1992. Before that, she served on the San Diego Port Commission and the San Diego City Council. During her time as mayor, she led the fight to save San Diego Gas and Electric from a hostile takeover by Los Angeles-based utility Edison International. In 1977, O'Connor married another well-known San Diegan, Jack in the Box founder Robert Peterson. The two did not have any children. At one point, O'Connor owned the La Jolla home, now owned by former Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney. She sold it in 2010 for $2.5 million as a short sale. UT San Diego says the property was reassessed soon after the sale at a $4.5 million value. The paper reports friends say O'Connor underwent a surgery to remove a brain tumor several months ago. Katie Orr, KPBS News.
A coroner has identified the remains of accused killer Christopher Dorner. The ID was made through dental records. Dorner's body was found in a burnt-out cabin in the San Bernardino Mountains after a gunfight with police. The cabin caught fire after police used flammable hot gas canisters. Tonight, law enforcement sources tell the LA Times the canisters were a last resort, used because the sun was going down and police were worried about dealing with Dorner at night. The gunfight and fire ended a rampage that took the lives of 2 civilians and 2 law enforcement officers. Police say that Dorner was out for revenge after being fired by the Los Angeles Police Department. An anti-nuclear group says that Southern California Edison manipulated numbers on the cost of replacing defective steam generators at the San Onofre nuclear plant. They filed a complaint with state regulators saying that Edison boosted the cost so it could get more money from ratepayers. There's been no comment from Edison. In the meantime, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission says it will publish a report from the maker of the steam generators. Leaks in those units led to the year-long shutdown of the plant. Public sector workers' pensions are once again the focus of scrutiny. Amitha Sharma and her guests discuss the effects of reform and the fate of Proposition B.
Pension costs in San Diego County cities are on the rise, according to a new report. And one city that's tried to bring its pension expenses down gets rebuffed by a judge this week. Joining me now are Chris Cade of the San Diego County Taxpayers Association and Michael Zuchet, General Manager of the Municipal Employees Association. Chris, today the San Diego County Taxpayers Association releases this report saying that pensions in the county's cities are on the rise. The costs are, at least. But they're going up in the cities of Lemon Grove, Del Mar, and Coronado in particular. Why? What's happening there?
Well, cities have been late to implement pension reform, and some of these cities are seeing the results of that, and they're going to be seeing increased pension costs for the upcoming year that begins on July 1st. But those cities that have implemented pension reform years ago are starting to see the results of that. They're seeing decrease in costs. Solana Beach, for example, is going to be seeing a 9% decline in their pension costs for the upcoming year. And then a different thing we looked at in this report is on a per household basis. We found that Imperial Beach has the lowest cost per household when it comes to pension costs. But Del Mar, who has also only recently started to put in reforms, has the highest cost per household with their unfunded pension debt amounting to over $3,000 per household, and they're going to be spending about $500 per household on the annual pension costs this upcoming year.
So why have some cities been quicker to implement pension reform and others have not? Has the pressure come from the outside or on the inside?
Some of it's from the inside. I mean, Solana Beach, who we recognize with one of our Golden Watchdog Awards a few years ago, they started the process early of dialogue with their employee unions and as well the city council, who has the ultimate say on these labor agreements. They had the political will to do that. Some cities who haven't implemented reform, like Santee or Coronado, they haven't gone forward with some of the reforms, like having a second-tier retirement formula or having their employees contribute their full share.
Michael, one city that tried to implement reform was the city of San Diego. Voters overwhelmingly passed Proposition B last fall against the warnings of the union. A judge ruled this week, an administrative law judge ruled this week from the Public Employee Relations Board that the city violated labor law. What is your reaction to that ruling?
Well, first, the proposition wasn't pension reform. The real pension reform was what's happened at the bargaining table in San Diego over the last 7+ years, where a lot of these reforms, including the ones Chris is talking about, were done in the city of San Diego years ago. And in addition to Proposition B being legally flawed, as you point out with the administrative law judge's decision, it was morally flawed because we had done all this good work at the bargaining table, yet the politicians wanted to play politics with pensions and go to the voters and put up this proposition which doesn't save real money and, oh, by the way, is illegal. The future of the proposition is uncertain. The administrative law judge's ruling was clear, as you said. The city violated the law. It appears that Jan Goldsmith wants to appeal that and spend more money and spend more time litigating rather than actually saving money for taxpayers, and so that's what we're going to do. But we're confident at the end of the day, the argument and the warning we made very clearly to Jan Goldsmith and Jerry Sanders when they first started doing this is that you can't do this is gonna carry the day.
And I just want to correct myself that voters actually passed that measure back in June. Chris, what do you expect to come out of Proposition B? Is this going to be tied up in the courts for years to come?
It appears that way, and I think that we're going to be standing behind the city attorney as we move forward. 120,000 San Diego residents sign a petition to put this on the ballot, and 66% of those voters in the city of San Diego approve Proposition B, and they deserve to have pension reform implemented to the fullest extent. And we've applauded the mayor, Mayor Filner, who wants to move forward on a 5-year pensionable pay freeze, but we believe that other elements of Proposition B, other charter amendment sections, need to be implemented to have the full effect of reform and the savings of nearly $1 billion over the next 30 years.
Very quickly, but what about the cost of having this tied up in the courts?
Right, and that's something that we're going to have to deal with. I mean, can we achieve $1 billion in savings with Proposition B? Yes, but we can't get there without moving forward with this and having it implemented and fighting this in the courts.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap it up there. Chris, Kate, Michael Zucchet, thanks for speaking to us today.
Thank you.
Now, remember those plans to close 70 California state parks to save money? The state auditor says the Parks Department had no way of knowing how much money would have been saved, and the department doesn't know how much it costs to run each of its parks. Last year, millions of dollars were found hidden in 2 special department funds. The report says that was a symptom of a bigger problem. With budgets based on old, inconsistent data, the Parks Department says it's now working on a new budget with operating costs for each individual park. San Diegans won't likely feel the effects of the merger of American Airlines and U.S. Airways, at least until summer. Airport officials say during the transition, both airlines will remain separate entities until around summer. Now, in the meantime, airport and airline officials will be meeting to determine what accommodations, if any, need to be made for passengers. Currently, both carriers fly out of Terminal 2, but at opposite ends of that terminal. A couple of California lawmakers pulled together business leaders in San Diego today to talk about the pressures on the state's manufacturing industry. Assemblymember Tony Atkins and State Senator Mark Weiland put together the conference to figure out how lawmakers can help save and grow the region's manufacturing base. Weiland says those jobs got squeezed out of the state's economy over the past 10 years.
We've lost one third of the manufacturing jobs in California. And those are high-paid jobs. There's a multiplier effect for the entire economy. During that time in our legislature, we've passed approximately 15,000 pieces of legislation, and yet we aren't addressing this really fundamental problem.
Weiland is gathering input from business leaders. He says future legislation could address taxes, regulations, or both. As the national debate over gun control heats up, Chula Vista police are offering a way to rid your home of unwanted guns. Just turn them in. You simply call the department, an officer will come to your home and retrieve the weapon, or you can turn your firearm in person at the police department. There are some rules to follow, however, so we ask that you call ahead first. Federal regulators are cracking down on tour bus operators after several fatal accidents. One of them involved a bus owned by a national city company. 7 people died. Dozens were injured in this accident on a mountain road near Big Bear. Inspectors will begin examining companies with a history of problems. They'll also physically inspect the buses. San Diego's Iraqi community has welcomed some new members this week. The family of a man who assisted U.S. forces during the war in Iraq. The service had put them in danger. Amitha Sharma has that story.
Iraqi translators jeopardized their lives to help the U.S. military, contractors, and journalists during the Iraq War. When U.S. forces pulled out, they left many of those translators behind. They are now, as one nonprofit group put it, the most hunted class in Iraq. Joining me is former Iraqi translator Ibrahim. Ibrahim, what was life like for you in Iraq when you worked as a translator? Were you in a war zone, and how dangerous was it?
It was full of danger. It was like really dangerous life. I would say it's the top dangerous job in the world. I mean, you're working alone with the U.S. military, putting your life in danger, and at the same time you're still thinking about your family, living in the neighborhood behind, and you're just worried about like what if they're gonna go in and they're gonna find out who you are and they're gonna go straight to your family. It's really dangerous, and you're always worried about what's gonna happen. What if I'm gonna die down here? What's my family gonna react? What's gonna happen? How? It's a lot of questions, and it's really dangerous job.
The war is over. Now, the American forces have pulled out. Now, what is life like for these people who once worked as translators for the United States?
It's different. It's a different life. I mean, since they work. I mean, are you talking about the one who who was who's still in Iraq, or the one in the States?
Iraq.
It's a lot of people left. A lot of people moved out of their houses.
Why?
Because they're still like, they have fear of they're gonna find out who they were, and they work for the U.S. military. They had like, and what I heard like 2 or 3 years ago, the United States military, they have passed the list of the names for the Iraqis interpreters who work with the U.S. forces to the Ministry of Interior. So a lot of people moved out of their houses, they changed cities, they went to different areas or different neighborhoods, and they're still in fear. Every single day they still asking the same question about...
But why are they in fear? Who's going after them?
It's, you know how is Iraq right now? Iraq, it's unstable. There is a lot of organization, assassination going on. There is protest, a big protest against the government, and the government, they're corrupted.
Now, your cousin also worked as a translator in Iraq for U.S. forces. What happened with him?
Yes, my cousin, he died. He died in Iraq along with 6 soldiers.
How?
In a house bomb in Bakuba. He was in a mission to go, and they got information about the house. It was full of Al-Qaeda. They went into the house, they raided the house, and it was trigger house. The house all blew up.
And I understand that the U.S. Army captain whom he worked with, Blake Hall, worked very hard to bring his family, his mother and his siblings here. How are they doing?
Yes. I would thank Blake Hall. I mean, gosh, he's an amazing person. He kept his promise for the family. He's a family member right now. He worked real hard to bring the family here. The family, they're so pleased to have a person like him and keep his promise as an officer for the United States military. And they're very happy. They have a different life right now. They don't have no fears about like when they're gonna get in, or what if they find out the family son who died along with 6 soldiers in Iraq. So they're excited. They just start a new life.
How easy is it for these translators who've been left behind in Iraq to get visas to come to the United States?
It's hard. It's really hard. I mean, first of all, they have to go through the checkpoints, and they have to go for the interview, and they have to get like a lot of stuff. Me personally, I still have a couple of friends I have still behind. They're in Iraq right now. They couldn't get a visa, and it's sad. I mean, they fought along with the U.S. forces. They've done the mission, and some of them, they have been shot before. Some of them, like, they put their life in danger, and now they couldn't.
Ibrahim, we're going to have to close it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Thank you.
There is a new arrival at SeaWorld tonight, a killer whale born there about 6:30 this morning. The newborn weighs about 300 pounds. Now, we don't know whether it's a boy or a girl yet, but the SeaWorld team says the baby appears to be healthy. This is the 6th baby orca born at SeaWorld San Diego, which is now home to 10 killer whales. Love is in the air on this Valentine's Day, with more than 100 couples tying the knot in civil ceremonies around the county. Still looking for that someone special? Well, Amitha Sharma recently learned a bit more about arranged marriages and how they compare to traditional marriages.
A common adage in India is first comes marriage, then comes love. That truism is anathema to Westerners, where falling in love is a prerequisite for marriage. But with the divorce rate in America at 50%, there may be something to having your parents find your mate. At least that's what our next guest argues. He is Robert Epstein, a senior researcher, psychologist at the American Institute for Behavioral Research and Technology in Vista. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Amitha.
You've approached the arranged marriage versus love marriage debate from a scientific perspective. What does your research show?
A couple of surprising things. First of all, arranged marriages actually work pretty well. There are some exceptions, but generally they work pretty well. In India, more than 90% of marriages there are still arranged, and they have still about the lowest divorce rate in the world, even though divorce is legal there. But the second thing is that there's a fundamental difference in attitude, and I think we can learn a lot from arranged marriages without actually practicing them, because that would never happen. But I think we can learn some important things from arranged marriages.
Okay, but still within societies like India, divorce is frowned upon. So
Sure.
I don't. What role does that play in your research?
Well, that's going to keep some people together who perhaps shouldn't be staying together. But on the other hand, I've looked at marriages in India where people are really just deeply in love after many, many years, even though they are in arranged marriages. And there's even a study done in India comparing the love in arranged marriages there to the love in love marriages there. And the love in the love marriages, it starts out very high, just like it does here, and then of course it decreases over time, just like here. The love in the arranged marriages starts out very low, increases gradually, surpasses the love in the love marriages at about 5 years, and 10 years out, it's twice as strong.
So what kind of wisdom can Americans take from arranged marriages and apply to their own relationships?
Well, of course, the first thing is to make sure you're with someone with whom you can build a wonderful relationship over time. This means, in part, being very cautious when there's strong passion in the beginning. Strong passion, we know from research, makes people blind to important characteristics of the partner. That's why often you're dating someone and your best girlfriend is saying to you, "Don't you know that he..." And you can't even see it. You can't even see what it is she sees. So start out with the right person, someone you can build with, and then do what is done in many arranged marriages. Take control over what happens. Don't leave love to chance. Don't leave the future of the relationship to chance. Take responsibility of it. Take control over what happens.
Another big part of arranged marriages is giving your parents a say in whether you decide to marry this particular person. Do you see that ever happening in this society?
I don't think it will. In fact, here we often date someone or marry someone just to defy our parents, to show that we're independent of them. So our system here is very, very broken top to bottom. But on the other hand, to get some sort of objective outside opinion, whether it's your parents or not, it could be your brother, your sister, your best friend, to get some sort of objective outside opinion and to listen, that makes some sense.
What kind of reaction do you get from people when you share the results of your research?
You know, women tend to be kind of skeptical at first, but then they kind of get it, because women have really been the victims here, more than men, of our failed system. Because women are raised, I know because I've read these fairy tales to my own daughters, women are raised here believing that Mr. Right, the soulmate's going to come along and then we'll live happily ever after. So they're set up for very, very serious disappointment later in life. So at first women are kind of skeptical, and then they go, wait a minute, there's another possibility? See, I don't have to worry about the soulmate. I can actually build a wonderful relationship with someone who's suitable for me. It's an attractive idea.
Very quickly, what led you to do this kind of research, to study arranged marriages?
Well, for the record, I wasn't really interested in arranged marriages per se, but I'm interested in ways to fix our system. And arranged marriages in which love grows over time, those are what I study, because I'm trying to figure out how to do that. How specifically do you do that? And I think that's what we can really learn. Learn how they do that. Take it, package it for our own purposes, and create another way to build successful relationships here.
Robert Epstein, thank you so much for speaking to us today.
A Valentine's Day story now that's going to take you back a few years. Did you know there used to be a special place in Balboa Park where, according to the legend, lovers could be assured of a long life of happiness? All they had to do was meet at the Honeymoon Bridge. Ken Kramer tells us about it in tonight's About San Diego.
It's a very strange thing. Here are these stairs that don't seem to go anyplace. But Balboa Park Ranger Kim Duclos says there used to be something.
And you walk down here, and unfortunately, the timbers are all gone from the bridge, which was sometimes referred to as Honeymoon Bridge.
That's right, there used to be a bridge here, right across Palm Canyon, back in like 1935. It was something you just had to do, you know, walk across it, look at the palm trees. But honeymoon? Well, there were stories about this bridge, stories that if you and your sweetheart went across it together, your life would be good.
I guess either walk out hand in hand, or I like to imagine you came from opposite landings opposite sides of the bridge, walked out to the center, sort of turned, kissed and embraced, and then assured yourself a long and happy marriage from that point on. And I think the idea was you needed to get out there within the first year of your marriage to make sure that it held firm.
Couples, lovers, I mean, there must have been marriage proposals and everything. Though it is a funny thing, all the pictures from back then seem not very, well, romantic. But they say it really was a sweet place. Even the lighted bells were sprinkled with glass marbles that made everything glow as you walked along.
Walk over the treetops, walk right across the canopy. Well, all of that is gone now.
The wooden beams aged and weakened, and Honeymoon Bridge was taken down decades ago.
And it's unfortunate. I think it would be so lovely to have that here again. I mean, imagine walking across there now and having it kind of go through this beautiful canopy of trees. I think it's something that might be worth seeing, who knows, in the future sometime.
In the meantime, on the north side of Palm Canyon in Balboa Park, if you know where to look, just off the Alcazar Garden parking lot, there are the stairs that in the days of the Great Depression led to marital happiness, at least according to the story about San Diego.
If you want to watch more of Ken's stories about San Diego, his half-hour program can be seen tonight and every Thursday night at 8 here on KPBS. And you can find tonight's stories and download the KPBS app all on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.